You think Common Ground is worth a buck? Consider leaving a tip at lptv.org. Lakeland Public Television presents Common Ground, brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Well, the fascinating thing for me with Stephen is that, you've been darn near all around the world, right? I mean, maybe Southern Hemisphere more than Northern Hemisphere. You probably haven't spent a lot of time in Lapland or something, but every time he's one of those guys, where's Waldo on the planet? You never know where you get something from Stephen. He's in East Timor. No, I'm in LA. No, I'm stopped at the border in Ottawa. I can't get through. Please help me through. Or he's where were you? Was Sofia in Bulgaria last year? And something about Pine Ridge in South Dakota caught you in the same way that it caught me. I mean, that's interesting land. People go there because it's sort of the designer reservation. They think of Wounded Knee, and they got to load up their vehicles with used clothes to go help the Indians. And
used clothes and canned food.
That's right. They never go to Potawatomi country
and
or
pop.
something. Yeah, right.
Got to bring pop and candy.
But they end up going to Pine Ridge. And I used to look at that with a kind of a jaundiced eye. Say, yeah, Pine Ridge is a designer reservation for white, to assuage white guilt. But it's not that simple. That place has astonishing spiritual power, that land. And, the Lakota people will tell you that. But every place has a spiritual force. This place has a spiritual force. The Ojibwe country has a spiritual force. God knows you get out in Navajo country, and the spiritual presence of that land is enough to knock you flat on your back. But there's something about the Pine Ridge area that draws you back and draws you back. And I think both Stephen and I have a real respect for whatever that thing is, that this sort of singularity of the landscape where there's a real force in it, and everything resonates. Everything, whether it be a thunderstorm over a hill or in the distance over the horizon, or the moon coming up, or just the endless roll of the land, there's this sort of resonance that it's like a chant. And I love that country. And I think that other people have talked about doing the film, but no one else really understood the land as a character. The land almost as the central character. It's small, it's closely observed human interaction against this broad, beautifully depicted landscape. And I think that's kind of what we have in mind. I mean, that's the hope, and the cinematography should make that land alive, because that's the essence of it. And that's really what I tried to do in that book, is make the land alive. You find all these references to the moon like the socket of an eye, or the landscape, or the rocks pushing through the land like bone through skin. All of these almost anthropomorphizing of the land, but the idea that this is the land as a living force. And any film that attempts to address Native experience that doesn't deal with the land as a living force is going to be full of false notes. I don't care where you are. And I mean, just looking at your photographs of when you were up by the Bering Sea up there, that land is alive for those people. I mean, it's I shouldn't say that land is alive, and those people are able to understand that life force. And we all talk about Mother Earth and the life of Mother Earth, but man, we don't get it. Sometimes you just have to be around a place that says that. Guess what?
I think the easiest way for me to respect the land, and we say Mother Earth, because the Earth is our mother, and she truly is. The land is alive. The birds that we can hear right now depend on the land. The forest is alive. It grows. It gets old. It dies. So it goes in the same cycle we do, that circle of life. But really, it's really, really a mother. Because as human beings, we're mining, we're drilling, we're killing the earth, and it's destroying us. It's destroying our spirit. It's destroying are, you know, people are getting cancer, people are dying of these things, and that's because of how we treat the Mother Earth. You know, that's how we're treating the land. So I think, but at the same time, it's like we're taking and we're taking and we're taking fish, taking oil, taking trees, and just taking and constantly taking and taking. Yet the earth is still giving to us, you know, still providing, and that's a true mother, you know. And it's like, if you can't see that, then what are you looking at, you know?
Yeah. Well, there's
So-
one of the spiritual teachers around here. I heard him giving a talk one day, and he said that well, it takes 15 minutes to cut down a tree and 100 years to grow one. What is it about that you don't understand? Well, you know, that's an interesting, you know, it's the way it is. They said there are laws of nature. The natural laws are not negotiable. And you'd better start to learn what those natural laws are and how they work, because you can't negotiate everything away. And that's been our tradition in terms of the treaties with the native people, in terms of everything. Well, the rules have changed. We've just changed the rules. You know, we said it was this way yesterday, but it's not anymore. And so we negotiate our way out of every situation. Well, nature is not negotiable. It'll be patient and quiet and wait for a very long patience, much longer patience than we have. But ultimately, it's not negotiable. And that's kind of the thing we've got to figure out, is how do we live a little more gently and respectfully on this land, so that it doesn't, we don't.
We're really, I mean, like, for, you know, it's really, we you know, we think our way through, you know, so it's really, it's about, everybody has common sense. That's one thing about human beings. No matter what culture you are, we have common sense, and it's using that common sense, you know, really using that common sense. I mean, the earth is our mother, you know, and we depend on it, you know. So when we exploit those resources until they're gone, and we can no longer depend on the land, then we move on to the next resource until that's gone. And that's happening at such a rapid rate that, what are we going to do when we run out of resources? The earth will still be here, but for us, we're not going to have anything to depend on. We're not going to have anything to help us live on. So the earth would regenerate. The earth will go on and regenerate. It's up to us how we choose to live here on earth.
Well, like you say, common sense. I mean, what is it? You beat up a kid when they're young, they're going to grow up angry. How hard is that to figure out? I mean, these are basic, common aspects of life that, for whatever reason, we tend to not operate by them. And finding them and living in accordance with the general rules of nature are, seems to me to be a fairly simple thing that's not bound exclusively by any given cultural situation. That we learn, you know, I mean, again, you go back to I love the native way of teaching of, you know, what were you saying about the eagle? You know, the eagle is the bird that flies closest to the.
That's what, yeah. The eagle is, you know, it flies high, you know, it flies closest to the creator. That's truth right there. You know, we look at that, that's truth, you know. And that's, you know, it's the same thing with the eagle feather. When you speak and you have that time to talk and you hold that eagle feather, you know, they respect your words, because when you respect the tradition and you're holding that eagle feather, you're speaking truth. You know, you have to speak truth, and that's your turn to talk. So if people respect you, they listen to you, and that's why a lot of the, you know, for some of us, for some, you know, cultures in the native way of thinking, it's like we those eagle feathers are sacred to us because they fly highest to the creator, and that's truth.
Yeah.
You know, you can be honest with each other, you know, but it's like, the way I was always taught was like, if you're justifying things, you're not really being honest with yourself. You're not really being real with yourself. So somebody who might not